Hey y'all, Jeff Nowak here for NOLA.com's digital sports producer. I'll say that again, Jeff Nowak here, NOLA.com's digital sports producer. Just bringing you a quick pregame live chat for Saints-Bucs as we do every week. This one's a little more intense than most because it is playoff football. It is a divisional round. The winner of this game goes to the NFC Championship where they will face Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers out at Lambeau Field. The early forecast for that game, low 20s and snow. So the winner of this game, the prize the Saints and the Bucs are playing for today, is a trip out to freeze their butts off in Green Bay, Wisconsin. But we will not know who that is until the end of the game today. And before that happens, you will get to see a pretty legendary matchup between Drew Brees and Tom Brady, the two oldest quarterbacks in the NFL. Tom Brady's 43 years old. Drew Brees is 42. He just celebrated his 42nd birthday on Friday. And, you know, whatever happens in this game, remember to appreciate what you're watching today because that just doesn't happen. This is a historic matchup for a reason. It's the third time this year the Saints and the Bucs have met. And please stop telling me that it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a season. We actually ran the numbers, and there have been 22 opportunities post-merger for teams to get a 3-game sweep in a season. It would have to be a divisional opponent, obviously, that you meet in the playoffs to get there. And that's what you have today. Of those 22 matchups, the 2-0 team has won 15 times. So say what you want. Obviously, this is a different matchup, but because you have Tom Brady on the other side of the field. But either way, I think pretty often the scenario is if you beat a team twice in the regular season, you're better than them. And you have a pretty good shot of doing it again. The last team that did it was the Saints in 2017. They beat the Panthers. And before that, I want to say it was 2009 was the last time it happened. It doesn't happen that often that you meet a divisional opponent in the playoffs. And that's what we have today. Before I go any further, I want to thank my sponsor, or our sponsor, Hancock Whitney Bank, for helping us bring out these live chats. I enjoy doing them. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, whatever, throw them in the chat. I'll try to get to them in the back half of the chat. And any score predictions, I'd love to get those so we can go through them. I'll be going through our expert score predictions here in a minute, and we can just dive in the rest of the way. I'm going to pop over to our live updates file. Let's see if I can remember the keyboard. There it is. But yeah, so 5:40 p.m. start, weird kickoff time. I think they're trying to hit the difference between the afternoon and night windows because it's a higher value time for the ratings. Currently, we have the Chiefs facing off with the Browns. And if you haven't been watching that game, it's a pretty big development. Patrick Mahomes is out with a concussion. He is not playing. Chad Henne has taken over. The Chiefs are leading by 5 points with about 9 minutes remaining. But Chad Henne's driving him down the field. So who knows? And that leads me into my next point, which is I'm going to go through the inactives really quick. And as many of y'all, I'm sure know, Taysom Hill, inactive for today with a knee injury. He suffered a hit to his knee in the first quarter last week in the Saints win over the Bears. He went out and got checked, came back in, seemed okay. You know, he had a fine game. Who knows how much it was affecting him in that game. Must have worsened throughout the week because he is not playing today, and it is his first ever game in the NFL that he has missed due to injury. And this is a guy who had all 4 seasons at BYU end with season-ending injuries. And he has been remarkably healthy throughout the course of his career, despite being asked to do pretty much everything and you know, get his nose dirty on so many plays. He's been healthy. And that is not the case this week. He is out. He is joined by Latavius Murray, the other guy who came in questionable. He is also going to miss with a quad injury. That's a significant loss as well. You saw the impact Latavius Murray could have last week when he took that little check down, dump off pass from Brees for a touchdown. He's not out there. So you're going to be leaning very heavily on Alvin Kamara. And it's going to be a question of who fills in behind him. Is it Ty Montgomery? Is it Dwayne Washington? I'd expect it to be Ty Montgomery based on how effective he was in week 17. And just him being a veteran player. He's been in the playoffs before. And who knows how much you're going to see, whoever it is, behind Alvin Kamara. But you know, if you ever had to overwork Alvin Kamara, this is the day to do it. So we'll see what he does. Alvin Kamara and everyone else basically has come in without any issue. There was only 2 guys listed as questionable, and they're both out. The other guy who they will not have, Patrick Robinson, cornerback. He has had hamstring injuries all season long that have hampered him, and leg injuries in general. He was declared out on Friday. Just came off the injured reserve before the wild card round, and it's just a bummer for him. specifically to not be able to stay healthy. But otherwise, the secondary is free and clear. Teron Armstead, Jared Cook all had injuries listed throughout the week. Oh, look, Chad Henne threw an interception. Sorry. Had injuries throughout the week, but they practiced either limited or full on Friday and did not have a game day designation. So they're all good to go. Trey Hendrickson is back, baby. Trey Hendrickson, the Tom Brady Slayer, as I've been calling him for the last 30 seconds. It's the first time I've ever called him that, but it's true. He had sacks on 3 consecutive plays when these teams met in week 9, and that's not normal. One of those was negated due to a penalty, but it still happened. We still have video evidence of it. And he is back today, and that's a big impact because Tom Brady, as much as he's done anything this season, has thrown the ball deep. He pushes the ball downfield. He threw deep 91 times this season. That was number 1 in the NFL. The next highest, Matt Ryan, 78. Mr. 43-year-old Thomas Brady led the NFL in deep pass attempts by 13. That's big. You know, that's going to be a factor today. The secondary got burned on deep shots over and over again in the beginning of the season. They tightened up in the second half of the season. I think that was a huge part of why the Saints defense ended the year as a top unit. And they're going to have to do it again today. You know, the safeties are going to have to hold up. Malcolm Jenkins and Marcus Williams are going to have to communicate and stay over the top. You know, the pass rush is just as big a deal of that as well. And when I say Trey Hendrickson could have a big impact today, that's what I'm talking about, because you need time to throw deep. You need a pocket. And if the Saints are constantly collapsing it like they did in that 38-3 victory in week 9, Tom Brady could have a long day. If they struggle to get there, Ali Marpet for the Bucs is healthy. He was not in that week 9 matchup, if I recall. You know, he could burn them. You know, the Saints could get burned, and that's going to be a big factor to watch today. There's one other thing that I have to say, and while I kind of clowned on this, it's tough to beat a team 3 times narrative, I will say it's tough to beat a team led by a guy who thrives on getting told that he's going to lose, that he's getting clowned. When you talk about Tom Brady, he's won 6 Super Bowls. The only player that you can comp him to in any sport is probably Michael Jordan, in the sense that he just wins titles. He shows up in the biggest moments, and he uses this almost made up criticism and trolling to get an edge. And all you need to do if you're Tom Brady is look at the tape from that 38-3 beatdown, and there's almost nothing scarier than a locked-in Tom Brady when he's going against your defense. And when I compare him to Michael Jordan, the memory that comes up, and it was documented in the Jordan doc that Netflix put out, is early in his career, he faced off with a guy named LaBradford Smith, a rookie for the Washington Bullets. Remember him? There's a good reason you don't, because he came out, they had a back-to-back set with the Bulls. He came out one night, scored 35 points, and after the game, there was this whole storyline that he walked up to Michael Jordan and said, "Nice game, Mike." And Michael Jordan took that as an insult, came back the next night, and dropped 36 in the first half, basically just annihilated LaBradford Smith off the face of the earth. And what's come out since then is that actually never happened. Michael Jordan made that up for motivation to come out and just murder the guy the next night. This time, Tom Brady doesn't need to make up any motivation. He has it. And that's the scary part to me. More than the 3 times they played, it's an angry Tom Brady is a scary Tom Brady. But we'll go through this here a little bit. Okay, so the Saints are 3-point favorites in this game. It's over on, this says CBS, but it's not. It's on Fox. I will fix that. Going down, we have some numbers to watch. 5. That's the number of times the Saints picked off Tom Brady so far this season. If you remember, Janoris Jenkins had that pick 6 that really set the tone in week 1 in that win. Kind of ugly win. That's really not representative of how either team played throughout the rest of the season. And then they got him, I want to say, 3 times in the second matchup. 6, the number of times the Saints sacked Tom Brady this season. Again, a big number. And they got to him a lot more than that number makes it seem like in week 9. They were in his kitchen. He had no chance. 80.9, the average yards rushing allowed by Tampa Bay's top run defense. Yeah, so Alvin Kamara, you're going to have to see him run between the tackles today. That is the piece that you are losing when you don't have Latavius Murray out there. He is a guy who runs between the tackles on early downs. He gets those tough yards. He takes those big hits, and they do not have that today. Even if they put Ty Montgomery out there, you're probably going to need Dwayne Washington in some capacity to just take some of those early down runs so that you're not completely using Alvin Kamara's entire workload energy in those situations that you're just trying to get a couple yards to get a, on first down, to get a drive going, to get positive situations in second and third down. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Dwayne Washington get some of those carries, because Ty Montgomery is just not that guy. He's a very useful back, but he is more of a third down back than a power back. And then 85, the combined age of quarterbacks Drew Brees and Tom Brady. If you look at the potential AFC and NFC championship average quarterback matchups, the minimum average age of the NFC championship will be 79 and a half combined. I'm sorry. The minimum average age of quarterbacks in the NFC championship will be 39 and a half years old. That's Aaron Rodgers, 37, and either Tom Brady, 43, or Drew Brees, 42. And in the AFC championship, the average age of the quarterbacks, the quarterback average age will be 24 and a half years old, because you're looking at Josh Allen at 24 and one of Baker Mayfield or Patrick Mahomes, assuming Patrick Mahomes plays, both at 25 years old. So you literally have the old guard and the new guard coming on opposite sides, and that's going to make for an interesting Super Bowl dynamic, whatever ends up happening. But okay, let's see. If y'all dropped your score predictions, I'm going to go through them now and see if I can find any. If you haven't, throw them in there and I'll pop them up. Let's get one up here before I go into the expert ones. Are y'all having trouble hearing me? I saw someone say louder, please. Is the volume coming in low? Because I can try to fix that if so. Not seeing a lot of score predictions here. Okay, here we go. From Congressman, 34-21, Saints win. Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough, because I don't think you're going to see the Bucs team that you saw in Week 9. And when I say that, I mean a team that just could not get any offense going. I don't think that they're going to come out and drop 40 on the Saints, but I think you're going to see some sort of competent offense from them, and the Saints are going to have to make it work on their side of the ball. I want to say this is not going to be a tight game down the stretch. I'm thinking the Saints are going to win this game, and they're going to do it by between 7 and 10 points. I tend to not want to give literal score predictions, but I'm going to say 30-23 is going to be the final score here, which is pretty close to what you have there. Our experts do not think they think it's going to be much tighter. All three have the Saints winning it. I'll pop this up a little bigger so you can see it. Oh, sorry, I lost it. There it is. So our two beat writers and our columnist, Amy Just has it Saints 35, Bucs 32. Luke Johnson, another of our beat writers, has it a 1-point game, Saints 31, Bucs 31. And Rod has it about the same, Saints 31, Bucs 28. So I think there's a consensus here that it's going to be somewhere in the range of Saints in the 30s and Bucs in the mid to high 20s. Mid to high 20s. And I think that's fair. Again, I think the Saints defense is just on another level this season. And the defensive line play has been such a huge part of that, because it allows the corners to play press man and just really take away everything that the opponent wants to do in the quick passing game. Mike Evans has not caught a pass since against Marshawn Lattimore since it seems like the Jurassic period. He just does not catch passes against Marshawn Lattimore. I've had a few people tell me that is the rivalry to watch in this game. And it's like, I don't think you could call it a rivalry. It can't be a rivalry if one person in it has never, ever succeeded against the other. And that's what the case is with Mike Evans. He hasn't caught a pass with Marshawn Lattimore in coverage since 2018. They play twice a year. It's not a rivalry. It's a beatdown. And until Mike Evans comes out and shows he can catch a pass against Marshawn Lattimore, I'm not going to call that a rivalry. But, that's going to be a matchup today. If Mike Evans can get going, then you can go ahead and say this is a rivalry and this is a matchup. As it's been the last 2 years, that has been a clear win for the Saints. They have taken away Mike Evans in every single matchup. He had a touchdown in week 1. It was a 1-yard touchdown. He is as good as anyone in the NFL at those tight yardage areas because he's huge. He's a huge guy. And, if he can get going, that completely changes this matchup for the Saints, because that's an element they have not even had to consider beating them before. But we can go on from there. Anyway, coming down, I'll get you down to the updates feed so you can kind of have this scroll up and have some entertainment over to my left as I'm talking. And I'll go through some of your questions here. Let's see what we have. I'll start at the top. We got a lot of who-dats. Appreciate y'all popping in here. Got a let's go. The Cajun, let's go. Kimberly Harris, we got this. Good to hear from you, Kimberly. Todd Fields, who-dat from Los Angeles. Good to have you. What happened to the Rams, man? I need you to get the lowdown here. Is Aaron Donald okay? I'm worried about him. Okay, going down. LaMarcus with a who-dat. I think Mary Beth is talking to her cousin, Terry Morrison. Good to have both of you. Just jinx the whole team. That's probably fair. I'm pretty good at dropping the jinx. But hey, I've said the Saints were gonna lose to the Eagles, and they did. So, you know, I think I've been pretty on with my predictions so far. But who knows? Who that runs in our veins? Okay, I'm gonna try to get to a question here so I can have some content. Alex Ratcliffe, this isn't really a question. I'm super nervous. Yeah, you know, I said this before. Nervous energy is a good thing. Excited nervous energy is a good thing. Scared nervous energy isn't. And the Saints this year have done a good job of making sure it's mostly excited nervous energy. But anytime you get into these critical playoff games and you have those memories flit through your head of the Minneapolis Miracle in 2017, right? The Stefon Diggs play, who is now on the Bills and had a great game yesterday. The Bills are into the AFC Championship already. And then you go ahead a year and you have the no call. And then you go another year and you have the Vikings winning in overtime with that uncalled Kyle Rudolph push-off. And it's just one after another after another after another. But this Saints team just feels like, you know, you get kind of steeled by those moments as a team. And I think that's what's happened here. Okay, we have a prediction. Breeze will beat Brady for the third time this year. That is what I think pretty much everyone in this chat is hoping will happen. Got Raymond asking for prayers. Let's see. Other Saints players can fill in for Taysom Hill. Yeah, you know, that's an interesting point, Jerry. Glad to have you here, by the way. Is they can't, though. That's the thing. Is Taysom Hill is an element of the offense that only Taysom Hill can be. Obviously, they have tight ends, they have running backs, they have guys who can block, who can go out on routes, but they don't have a guy who every time he runs onto the field, you have to watch and see what he's going to do. You don't know if he's going to line up at quarterback and Breeze is going to go stand on the side and pretend to run a route. You don't have, it's not as, they are not as adjustable in that situation as they could be with him out there. And it simplifies the offense that the Bucs are going to have to account for. And that's a factor, and whether he's been successful, whether he's had a problem fumbling, that is always something that he provides the offense that no one else can. And that's just not something you can replace. Can the Saints win without being able to have that in their offense? Oh, yes, certainly. But it's not as simple as saying, oh, well, there's guys who can do what he does, because there is none. There are no other players on the team who can come onto the field and the defense has to be worried they're going to line up a quarterback. It just doesn't exist. But either way, I think the Saints are going to be fine in that regard. You don't need that to win. Most teams don't have that. It's just one more thing that the Bucs don't have to worry about. Going through here, let's find some other. Is Jerry again? I'll pop you up here. As long as you run the ball, yes, running the ball will be important today. Time of possession will be important today. The Saints need to extend drives. They can't be constantly going 3 and out and giving the ball back. And I think that Michael Thomas being on the field, which he has been for all 3 Bucs matchups, is a big part of this, because those short passes to Michael Thomas are essentially an extension of the run game a lot of the time. They're just chain movers. They're short gains that you're confident in, and they just help you get drives rolling so you can have those 8, 10, 12 play drives that really just take the air out of the other team, gives your defense a rest, and that's going to be important today. I agree. All right. So this is a good question, and the problem is we just don't know. The Saints are not releasing any of that information. They never do. All we know is it's a knee injury, but I will say that to keep a guy out of the playoffs, you need to have a significant injury. They know that this could be the final game of the season, and they are going to try to go if they can. So for him not to play, that means, I don't want significant is kind of a buzzword, but that means that it's a legitimate injury. It's more than a bruise. It's something that is an impact to him in terms of his, I don't want to couch this too badly, but it's more than just discomfort, because if he felt like he could play through it, they would be out there. Him and Latavius Murray would be out there, and they are not in the biggest game of the season until maybe they play their biggest game of the season next week. So it's tough to say, but if it's keeping him out, it's significant. Let's go. Okay, we got another prediction here. 42-17 Saints. Folks are pretty confident, but who knows? All right. Agreed. Eric the intern. I hope your internship goes well. All right. Looks like we got through most of them. Here we got one from Big Irv. So they're running 4 safeties when they go 5 wide. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but the Saints run mostly sub packages anyway. And so when a team goes 5 wide, it really doesn't change that much for them, because you're assuming one of those is a tight end who will be covered by the weak side linebacker, and Demario Davis is kind of the roving Mike linebacker. So if a team goes 5 wide, that means you have the 2 corners on the outside, you have the 2 safeties, and then you have CJ Gardner-Johnson. So I don't know why you don't need to go in dime to address that. It's a weird situation, but the Saints match up well against the Bucs, and I think that's what you've seen in the first 2 matchups, and that's what you should see again today. The biggest difference in my mind is Antonio Brown was his first game in Week 9 with the Bucs, and he's had half a season to get more familiar with Tom Brady, to get more familiar with the offense, and so he'll probably have a bigger impact today. The other guy you want to look out for is Ronald Jones. He has been hurt. He hasn't played in a while, but he is active today. He was a game-time decision. I still think you're going to see a lot of Leonard Fournette in this game, but Ronald Jones is there as well. He's had a really productive season. I still think Leonard Fournette is a better back. I could be biased being in Louisiana and covering LSU all these years, but Leonard Fournette scares me. He's a guy who can just murder you at any point if he gets some space and can build up a head of steam. He is basically a faster version of a Derrick Henry type back who can also catch passes out of the backfield. He's a scary guy, and they don't want to let him get going because if the time of possession ticks over to the Bucs side and they also have that explosive big play ability that the Saints don't quite have as much of, then you could get into trouble. Let's see. Do you think we'll see a wild trick play in this game? With no Taysom, it may be a mind trick. I think today is the day Alvin Kamara throws that elusive halfback pass, because the Saints are going to be looking deep in their playbook for ways to catch the Bucs off guard for things they have not done before. And without Taysom Hill in the game, your options there are very limited, because he's the guy. He's the gadget guy, as you say. And people like to say gadget in a derogatory way. I think gadget is a good thing, because there's a reason it's a gadget. It's because it's not something that you expect to see. And what haven't the Saints done this year? They haven't had Alvin Kamara chuck a ball downfield. So keep an eye out for that. If you end up seeing the Saints in 1st and 10 at like the within the 40s, on either at their 40 or the Bucs 40, where even if it's an interception, it's not going to hurt you that much. If it's an incompletion, it's still 2nd and 10. Those are the scenarios where you're probably going to see something like that. And so Alvin Kamara halfback pass, that is my bold prediction for today. And I will clip this and brag about it on my Twitter account if that indeed does happen. But all right, it's about 5 o'clock. We have about 40 minutes until kickoff. I will let you go watch the end of this Chiefs-Browns game. It looks like the Chiefs are going to pull it out based on, they're up 5 with about 2 minutes left. And the Browns could get the ball back, and we'll see what happens. But Saints at 5:40 p.m. over on Fox. Check your local listings. You can catch it on the Fox Sports Go app. It should be for free on the Saints app if you have a cable subscription. I don't know if you have an antenna, you can get it over the air. We'll go from there. But again, my name is Jeff Nowak, NOLA.com's digital sports producer. You can follow me on Twitter at Jeff_Nowak. I'd like to again thank our sponsor, Hancock Whitney Bank, for helping to bring all these live chats. Make sure to hit me up, ask me any questions. Go over to NOLA.com. for any of the latest coverage. That's NOLA.com/sports/Saints. Make sure to follow our beat writers. Check out this post that I have over here to my left, which is live update. It's got a live scoreboard. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter. As you can see, it's right there, New Orleans Saints and NOLA.com. Head over to our YouTube channel, also New Orleans Saints and NOLA.com. I put together a fancy little hype video that might get you in the zone. Check that out. It's got some rockin' music in there and some highlights that you might not have seen. And we'll see what happens. Again, Jeff Nowak, NOLA.com. Thanks for watching, y'all. Oh, I have a video every single time I forget to have this ready. And anyway, enjoy.